Welcome back to Spring into Math 7. I'm Mrs. Campbell, and today we're going to be talking about proportions. So let's get started. All right, so let's start out with the definition of proportions. When two ratios are equal to each other, we call it a proportion. For example, the equation 10 to 5 equals 6 to 9, or 6 over 9, it's a proportion. And we know this is true because we can reduce both fractions to 2 over 3. Let's take a look at an example of a proportion. A small fast food chain operates 60 stores and makes 1.2 million profit every year. How much profit would the chain make if it operated 250 stores? So the first thing we want to do is set up a ratio, and we'll do that with profit over the number of stores. And then we'll plug in the information that we do know, which is that when they have 60 stores, they make a profit of $1.2 million. Now, I'm going to put X in the numerator above the value of 250. Now, 250 represents the 250 stores, and the X is the unknown. That's the variable. That's what I'm looking for because I'm trying to figure out how much they would make if they actually had 250 stores. Okay, so the next thing I'm going to do is, and I wanted to actually kind of step aside for a minute, I rewrote this proportion out for you so I could show you that how I simplified this. I actually turned 1.2 million over 60 into 20,000. And the way that I did that, you can see up here, if you follow this blue line, I actually divided 120,000 divided by 6 gave me 20,000. And so that gave me, basically just made the cross multiplication simpler. And now I have 20,000 equals X over 250. So my next step will be to multiply 250 times 20,000 equals X over 250 times 250 over 1. My 250's cancel out, and I get X equals 5 million. So the profit would be $5 million per year if this chain owned 250 stores. Okay, quickly, let's look at using cross products because it can help us immensely when we're solving proportions. Let's kind of revisit how we cross multiply. I have 16 over 4 equals 20 over 5, or 20 to 5. When we cross multiply, we multiply the opposing numerator and denominator, and you can see how that works out. Now I've made that into 16 times 5 equals 4 times 20. And the numbers on both sides of the equal sign are 80. And that's how we can use cross products or cross multiplication to solve for proportions, make sure that they are actually equal on both sides. Okay, let's try another example. We've got 4 to 3, or 4 over 3 equals 9 over X. Again, we'll use our skill of cross multiplying. And I have turned that into 4X equals 9 times 3. Okay, 4X equals 27, because 9 times 3 is 27. Then I'm going to divide both sides by 4. My 4's cancel out. And so my X will then become 27 over 4. And 27 divided by 4 is 6.75. Okay, let's look at another example. In the United Kingdom, Alzheimer's disease is said to affect 1 in 50 people. Let's highlight that. 1 in 50 people over 65 years of age. If approximately 250,000 people over 65 are affected in the UK, how many people over 65 are there in total? Now, this is one of those problems where you really need to read carefully. What are they trying to find out? What's the question actually asking? What it's asking is, how many people over 65 are there in total in the United Kingdom? So let's set this up as a proportion and see if we can solve. We know that 1 in 50 people over 65 years of age have Alzheimer's. And we know that 250,000 people in the UK have Alzheimer's. So we're actually trying to solve to figure out how many people are over age 65 in the United Kingdom. Our next step would be to simply cross multiply 50 times 250,000, 1x. And 250,000 times 50 gives me 12,500,000. X equals that. So the number of people in the United Kingdom over age 65, that number would be 12,500,000. All right, guys, that just about wraps it up for this lesson today. Thanks so much for joining us, and we'll see you next time.